And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. In parts 7 and 8 of this series, I propose that the 7 heads of the dragon denote the 7 things God hates, described in Proverbs 6:16 through 19. Heads typify control, while 7 speaks of the fullness and manifestation of the carnal mindset Jesus encountered when he came to his people almost 2,000 years ago. An important fact about the spiritual meaning of 7 is this. Like the 7 spirits of God in Revelation 1:4, or the 7 churches in Revelation chapters 2 and 3, there is but one Spirit of God and one church or body of Christ. They are presented as 7 to show the 7-fold work of His Spirit that results in the fullness of His purpose in the church and in the world. Knowing this provides us with a key to understanding the kings of the earth in Revelation. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." So he carried me away in the Spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. First thing to notice about these passages, John is first carried away in the Spirit into the wilderness. In Revelation 12:6 and 14, where does the woman clothed with the sun go? The wilderness. Next, John sees the same 7-headed entity he saw in Revelation 12 and 13, only now it's a scarlet beast. In Revelation 12, red in red dragon is paros, meaning fire-like, that is, special, flame-colored, while the word scarlet is kakanos, meaning from the kernel shape of the insect, crimson-colored, taken from the root meaning a kernel of seed. Note the following from Gemini. Crimson is a particular shade of red. If you look at a standard primary red, it sits right in the middle of the spectrum. Crimson, however, is noticeably darker and deeper, infused with a subtle hint of blue or purple. This gives it a cool, rich undertone, completely different from the bright orange-leaning red. Historically, true crimson has a fascinating origin. It was originally produced as a luxury dye using the crushed bodies of a specific scale insect called kerns or kermes. Today it's mostly famous for its bold presence in university colors, rich fabrics, and dramatic evening skies. Gemini tells us that crimson also stands for wealth, status, political seduction, and even royalty. When we compare this to Revelation 3:17, 17:4, and 18:3 and 7, it seems to agree. The dragon is red or paros, while the beast is crimson and kakanos. The fire-like aspect of the dragon agrees with the Old Testament church and fiery law that the Jews in Israel were under at the time of Christ, while the crimson or scarlet beast typifies the blood of Christ and the righteous under which we now abide, the blue in scarlet denoting the heavenly, and the purple the royal power or authority of Christ in the first fruits. Now, let's go to Revelation 18:7. In the measure that she glorified herself and lived luxuriously, in the same measure give her torment and sorrow. For she says in her heart, I sit as queen, and am no widow, and will not see sorrow. I sit as queen. And where does she sit? In Revelation 17:1, we're told on many waters, described as peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Here's what we read in Revelation 17:9 and 10. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. There are also 7 kings, 5 of whom have fallen. One is, the other is not yet come. And when he does come, he must remain only a little while. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated, and they are also 7 kings. So, which is it? Seated on the waters or on the mountains and kings? Well, it's both, for mountains and kings correlate with the heads, typifying control, the power and authority of man's pride over peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Is this true of the dragon, the sea beast, or the scarlet beast? Well, it's true of all, for the 7 heads represent the same thing from first to last, all typifying the carnal mind. 7 kings. But are there actually 7 kings? In a sense of an ongoing process, yes. But in another sense, no. Like the 7 spirits of God and the 7 churches, there is but one king, 7-fold in essence. This brings us back to Proverbs. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among brethren. Look closely at these passages. Notice that the 7 things God hates begins with a proud look. This is the head, is it not? This is followed by a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, and feet that are swift in running to evil. We start with the head and end at the feet. This is the whole person. This is followed by a false witness who speaks lies. Not another attribute, but a summation of the first 5. In other words, when we are consumed by the first 5, this is what we are. And the 7th, it's what we do. That is, sow discord among brethren. Not 7 separate kings, but one king, described in 7-fold fashion. One queen of Babylon, seated on one king of Babylon, aptly called the kings of the earth, because all we're considering comes down to one spirit and mind or the other, both individually and collectively speaking. There is the spirit and mind of the world, and there is the spirit and mind which is of God. There is a haughty spirit, and there is a humble spirit. There is pride, the inordinate love of the self, or there is humility, loving God and our neighbor as ourselves. Babylon, female, declares in her heart, I sit as queen, and am no widow, and will not see sorrow, while Babylon, male, along with the inhabitants of the earth, support and sustain her, committing fornication with her. One king. This brings us to some very important passages in our consideration of the serpent and dragon, and I'll pick up from here in the next study. It shall come to pass in the day the Lord gives you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and the hard bondage in which you were made to serve, that you will take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how the oppressor has ceased, the golden city ceased. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning.